Hello and welcome back to the LCS. Yesterday, CLG suffered an ugly loss versus TSM, and I'm curious why, in spite of that loss, for a team that's currently in playoff positioning, 4-5 record, there's not more excitement about the improvements that they've made on their previous split.
I think a large part of it, especially coming off yesterday's game, was the ugliness of the losses, the fact that you are record-setting losses, like the worst goal differential ever in North American LCS. The fastest turrets plays have all been broken off. It's a loss that feels extremely bad because it is a historic loss.
Well, I feel like when you lose that bad, it doesn't, for me as a player, when I lose a close game, I'm like, crap, that felt really bad. We were so close to winning. But when they crushed me in 24 minutes or something like that, it doesn't feel as bad because, like, I just got stopped.
Just
Whatever.
rip off the Band-Aid, nothing I could have done at that point.
Sometimes I get hooked 5 times in lane.
To a player, I think it does feel that way because Biofrost in his interviews and stuff afterwards did not sound that beaten down. But fan perception is very different because you see a loss like that and you're like, oh, God, that was just like I spent 20 minutes of my life watching my team get obliterated.
Yeah, I think it's a good point to bring up, though, James, because as devastating as that loss was, do people remember the Cassidon game where CLG had, PoE legendary,
absolutely popping off
10 kills or something like that? So, it has gone both ways, and it kind of backs up what Mark is saying about how, some of the downs have been pretty far down, but, some of the highs have been pretty high, and that's on brand for Counter Logic Gaming.
Take a look at these 4 wins.
Yeah, the second place team in Cloud9, who's 7-2, they handed them one of their losses, and FlyQuest, who is battling later today with TSM for the right for third place team, they beat them when they were earlier in the season too. So if you look at the quality of wins, that's 2 playoff opponents that they've been able to take down. It's not bad at all from a strength of victory perspective.
Something that you can cling on to if you're looking for the high points for CLG. Last week, though, we did criticize Darshan specifically on the team, but yesterday in his J4 versus Jace matchup, actually the one member on the team that maybe was performing above expectation.
Yeah, I was definitely feeling bad for Darshan because you're put in the Jace matchup as the melee. He's trying to survive. He's getting his CS. He was last hitting quite well for the early stages, but it was kind of that feeling how I was talking about, when the bottom lane, sometimes you get hooked 9 times in a row.
Or something like that. What can you do about that?
Sometimes you get hooked 9 times in a row.
I think for Darshan, I'm pretty excited, actually, because with the meta, there's been a lot of things that have been changing with the champions. A lot of people are picking split push, and Darshan used to be known for that. And if he can bring that back, I'm excited to see what CLG can be.
And while there's been some minor improvements for Darshan from weeks 4 to 5, we've got to take a look at 6A because he was the man who was getting hit by all those hooks just yesterday. So when it comes to individual performances, he needs to step it back up.
Yeah, he was a top-tier AD carry once when he was playing against Doublelift in the finals and kind of proving like CLG made an okay choice getting rid of Doublelift for me. And it's been a long time since then. A lot of people want to see him step back up to that. And I think that's why some of these wounds feel extra bad from the CLG fan perspective, is because you see Darshan not quite what he used to be, it seems like. And 6A maybe not. And you want that kind of return to glory that they can have in them.
I think another thing to consider, too, when we look at the CLG roster is the rookie jungler in Wiggly, right? Jungle is one of those positions where I imagine you go up against the experience of a player like Xmithy, and you can absolutely look dwarfed because you just haven't been on the stage enough times to know where to be when.
Yeah, and I think that with rookie junglers, as well as rebounding for teams after losses like yesterday that are record-setting, a lot of focus should be put on this coaching staff. They put together multiple people to try and handle different roles, and now is the time to execute because the turnaround is very, very important after something like that.
It will be a test of mental. We'll see if they can recover versus Cloud9 as we send it off to Freak and Azael for Game 3.
Thank you very much, Dash. This is going to be an exciting one. CLG taking off against Cloud9. C9 above them in the standings, but CLG beat them last time around. I think it's going to be really interesting to watch for.
Yeah, and we got to see if 6A can bounce back from yesterday.
We'll see if he can. I think it's hopeful. Let's take a look at the starting rosters. On the blue side is Counter Logic Gaming. Their top laner is Darshan, jungler Wiggly, mid laner Power of Evil, 6A in the bot lane alongside support Biofrost with their coach Weldon.
And choosing the red side for this matchup, it's going to be Cloud9. In the top lane, Licorice. In the jungle, Svenskeren. Mid laner, Niski. Bot and support going to be Sneaky and Zazel with Coach Reaper.
And quick clarification, do apologize. We did have the scripting wrong. They went off book. We wrote it for them, and they went the other way around. C9 did, in fact, pick blue. We still got the lineups right. Darshan's still on CLG and all that. But when the camera showed red side, and it was like, wait, but that's CLG. That's because we said red side, and we were reading the wrong version of the script. It was updated. either way, just want to get that one out of the way. CLG and Cloud9 still a very exciting one for this one. And yeah, it's Darshan, who I think was the best native top laner back in the day. I think he was battling Dyrus for that title back in the 2013, 2014 era, around the time Balls came up. Then that was another battle for him. But Licorice, very quickly, has kind of become the player we look at now. He's an innovator. He's playing kind of whatever he wants. Like, he has one of the only Silas wins in NA, and then his mid laner has the other Silas win in NA. Like, I mean, C9 are definitely showing that they have style and class.
Yep, and Counter Logic Gaming on the other side, I think, certainly it felt like they had found their stride and the style that they want to play, which is very clearly tank top, tank jungle, and then you have powerful carry in the mid lane and the bottom lane. And that is kind of the style that they had developed and where they had found almost all of their wins. When they have strayed from that, they have not really been getting any wins. 3 of their 4 wins are with Sion, the other is with Urgot, all playing that sort of style. I do think that the Jarvan that we saw Darshan bring out yesterday can fit that style as well, and he was laning quite effectively against Broken Blade in a bad matchup. So maybe we'll get another shot at seeing Darshan on that pick.
Meanwhile, the tried and true Biofrost Tahm Kench will not be allowed here. It's got 5 plays and all of their wins are on that champion. You imagine that, all those hooks that were landing last game, if he has Tahm Kench, those kills don't come through. Certainly it's a viable option here, but it will be CLG also. Continue the trend of banning Lucian, even though it did not win earlier today. And I do wonder at a certain point if some champions are overbanned, but I trust these teams are doing their homework. Either way, Urgot comes through, no one's surprised, and Sion's would have been banned, so Darshan needs a tank pick for this top lane.
It can get to a point sometimes where champions are just universally banned in scrims, and then you're banning it not even because you know it's so strong anymore, but because you haven't practiced against it anymore, right? So you're no longer sure exactly how to play against it or what matchups do work into it in the current meta. But I think the bans from Cloud9 make a lot of sense. Sion, 3 of the 4 wins for CLG. The Tahm Kench Ezreal combo has been so effective for CLG as well in that late game. Really, Stixxay was untouchable with that, and they are going to bring out an early Galio. This certainly could be the support Galio that we saw come out yesterday. Didn't really get to see anything from it because the lane phase went so bad. Yeah. But this is a trend as we see York coming out. Very cool.
So, I mean, 9 out of 10, this is York versus Urgot top lane. Give me your quick rundown. I know you actually know York super well, so what's this matchup going to look like?
I think it's a totally reasonable matchup for York. I do think that early priority is almost always going to go to the Urgot, but as in almost all York matchups, it just depends how many times you're actually connecting with your E. You need to focus on getting ghouls out. When your ghouls are out, almost no champions can fight you. If you're able to connect with that E, then you can go in and continue the trade and try to get pretty aggressive. And this can get more and more Yorick favored, especially post 6 when you have the ultimate, because the percentage HP damage that is coming through is very effective on the Urgot.
And because Urgot dash can't go over walls, he's actually stuck in the cage till he shoots it down, right?
Exactly.
So there is some decent stuff that even though Urgot has the dash, it does not escape things like Cataclysm if that were to come out later on in the draft, or the York. Well, he's got to shoot it down himself, and Purge won't always target it. So Sivir is grabbed up as a priority pick down there with Lucian and Ezreal off the table. That will be answered by a Kai'Sa, so we have pretty standard bot laners here for Sneaky and Stixxay.
Not too much parity in the draft though just yet, as we could see. Well, I mean, I guess it depends. Are they gonna put Galio mid or support? We are kind of assuming it's gonna be support, but again, this is a champion that can be punished, I think, fairly heavily in lane. I think it tends to have a very weak laning phase. We have been seeing a lot of support Galio and Shen and some of these more kind of scaling utility-based picks in the support role, but they tend to be very effective into weak laning opponents. And Alistar can be someone who can really threaten that Galio and attack him, and we'll see if they're going to be able to do that, or if they'll even look to do that when they do have a Sivir. It might just be kind of handshaking for farm.
My instinct is this is terribly bullyable. I think Stixxay has to respect Headbutt Pulverize. Like, don't get me wrong, that Biofrost's Galio will not easily peel this. You can easily spell shield the taunt. You can react to almost every single spell Galio puts up, and it's not too hard for CNN to play it, but it also doesn't quite feel like a kill lane. This feels fairly handshaky, but it does feel edge to C9. We go to the second round of, or I should say second phase of bans, and LeBlanc is banned by CLG, Zoe banned by Cloud9. Of course, they know they're targeting mid lanes here, and PoE has been one of the big carries.
Yeah, and CLG targeting some of the kind of safe blind picks, I think makes a lot of sense. You're going to force Niski to try to show his hand here, and then very likely be giving Power of Evil counter pick. We'll see where they want to try to go with that. Corki is available. We did just see that come out, and I think it is a very reasonable blind pick, especially on a team that is very physical damage heavy right now with the Urgot and the Sivir.
Yeah.
I'm expecting it to be magic damage, but you can obviously go for something like an Orianna or even a Syndra. Those are both available and fairly safe.
And you can see the Victor ban is, along that line of team fight mids that are being removed away here. Now, I'm curious if there's going to be some Galio delivery right now. CLG can't pick up a Nocturne, but Jarvan is still up. That Yorick, I think I've seen Yorick jungle. I don't think it's great, but you could still put the Jarvan top lane for some reason. Either way, you can put Jarvan jungle, obviously. That's completely reasonable. Wiggly's played it this split already. That feels like it lines up really well, and there's the pick. This is great alongside a Kai'Sa. She loves the extra attack speed. You could even still run something like a Corki mid for even, double mark spin, which I still feel like is a solid synergy with the Jarvan.
Jarvan also works pretty well with the Yorick. You can actually lock people in the cage, and then it's very easy to hit your knockup out of that. So certainly someone who could help to try to put Yorick ahead. I do think in general, anytime you're playing Yorick, I think a lot of your game plan should be revolving around enabling the Yorick, because this champion is so strong from ahead. If he can get access to turrets, if he can win 1v1, survive 1v2s, you really can start to take over a game and knock down turrets so incredibly fast. And when behind, Yorick is an abysmal team fighter. Very, very weak. This could be Urgot mid and Silas getting swapped top. I'm not sure if that is going to be the call, but certainly there is the potential to flex around, which makes it harder for PoE to pick what he wants because he doesn't necessarily know for sure where these are going to go.
Well, is he going to give Silas a sombrero here with an Orianna pickup? That seems pretty likely. You mentioned it during the ban phase.
And it works well with their comp, right? Jarvan going in with the Orianna to be able to combo off of that. This feels like a lot of the team makes a lot of sense together. You can essentially pair up the Jarvan and the Galio, both as far as hard engage, but also the Galio can get out and help the Yorick in the split push. Jarvan can gank there very well. You have strong engage. You have scaling in the form of the Kai'Sa for the team fight, and pretty interesting stuff. But there are some powerful ultimates, it feels like, for Nisqy to steal if he can get on top of people for the sombrero, the Orianna ultimate. Jarvan is a great ultimate to steal. Galio ultimate can certainly turn around fights. So
I feel like Nisqy walks top, presses R, and goes, all right, thanks, and just has a maiden hanging out for a while. And
I don't know how it actually works. I guess it would probably just it would assist whatever you're hitting, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it follows you around, right? You just get to the maiden, gets the full ultimate. That'll be an exciting one. It's gonna be fun. I have not seen a Silas steal a Yorick yet, so that'll be the first for me as the coaches shake hands. It'll be an exciting one here. Cloud9 and Counterlogic Gaming, C9 securely in second. CLG right now alone in about 5th place. They had Echo Fox drop earlier in. The fate is in their hands. CLG have beat this team before. This is an improvement so far over last year's lackluster run through the LCS. There is certainly light at the end of the tunnel here. Both these teams can be very, very good. C9 have already been showing it. And we have some fun comps coming in for us as well. Nisqy reprising his role on Silas. And CLG definitely jumping into that. Yes, we're going to play tank, tank, tank with 2 carries. The style we wanted to see, and they're doing it here.
Yeah, definitely are. See on the side of C9 how much space they're going to be able to create for Sneaky, because it's actually triple Aftershock. Plus there's the Urgot in the top lane. So these are a lot of tanky members here for C9 that should be able to create a lot of space for Sneaky to deal damage on the Sivir. And that is one of the things that I have felt has sometimes been absent from the Sivir comps that we have seen. We saw a TL when they lost to TSM. We actually saw Stixxay having a great Sivir game as well, where situations where the Sivir is actually quite fed but can never get enough damage in the team fights because they didn't have the safety and the space being created by that front line. And C9 with triple Aftershock members and the Urgot should certainly be able to.
Audience, I'm sorry, who's playing today? I couldn't quite hear. Thank you. Cloud9 versus CLG on the Rift, ladies and gentlemen. And we've got our push into the mid lane as PoE takes over a brush. No word comes down, and it's gonna live. We don't have to cheer for that one. Oh, what did I do? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Forget I said anything about cheering for wards. Please don't do it. Meanwhile, as we wait for the players to get on the Rift, keep in mind they have lives off the Rift as well. After the match today, Wiggly and Darshan will be joining me and Kobe on LCS Cooldown, where we premiere a new game show that tests Darshan's singing prowess. Spoiler alert, he's really good.
He is really good.
He's got a YouTube channel.
Yeah, he does covers and stuff.
Yep.
Definitely gonna be watching that.
Whew. What a trick! And Nisqy barely takes damage. So that was a nice start.
Aftershock's cheap.
If you land the skill shot.
Yep.
He actually can only trigger that keystone if he lands E.
It's pretty easy to land in team fights, though, and in most situations, you should be able to pretty reliably proc that. This is never a situation you really want to be in as the Orc if you have to leash and your opponent doesn't, because you really want to have access to the wave to try to get as many graves out as possible. One of the things I've been seeing a lot of pros who maybe aren't as comfortable on the champion kind of making the mistake of is actually utilizing your Q too often for trading and not often enough for last hitting for the graves, because really your power is all around those ghouls. You are pretty garbage without them, and you are very, very powerful with them. So prioritizing last hitting that allows you to be in a position where you can actually fight back.
Speaking of fighting back, the Scuttle Crab can't, and wow, just Svenskeren and just beating up defenseless animals. It's like World Quarterfinals all over again. Shout out to freaking freaks.
Whoa!
And then it was World Semis all over again in reverse. We got the Fnatic cheers in there as well, don't worry.
You always gotta
Equal
take
opportunity
it
flame.
a couple steps too far, freak.
That's pretty much me as a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Treadmills hate me.
I have no response for that.
Like, you shouldn't. It was stupid. But wave clear happening in this quick mid lane kerfuffle as PUE's going to take a quick recall, get the control ward in, plus his Darksteel for the extra AP.
Yeah, it's always a really nice early buy. We can grab Darksteel, especially when you are starting corrupting. So being able to get the added benefit from that, increasing the healing you're getting back, and some early power. So pretty good early base. He's not going to miss out on too much, and certainly I think he's looking to hope that he can force out Niski's TP, but Niski had more than enough wave clear that he shouldn't have to use it here.
So far seems decent. Do want to check in that top lane is actually, we only need the CS tracker, but you can see Darshan down about 10 as so far the Licorice push has been going really, really well, and that extra pressure is certainly mattering. He's got the potion still. Darshan's not pushed out of lane, but he is strictly down 8 CS.
It's interesting. It feels like he's trying to hold the wave by his turret because he's not actually summoning his ghouls. You can see 3 graves right there. He's not bringing those out, so that does lead me to believe that he's trying to hold it here for a gank. Otherwise, it is just straight up a misplay, because it is quite easy to actually get most of that farm and compete for that a lot more heavily when you do have the tools out. The wave, unfortunately for him, is going to push to his opponent now, though, so not sure if they're really going to be able to actually fight this. So at this point, I do think it's better oftentimes to just get out the ghouls and hard push.
Well, Jarvan's here and Sejuani is not. She's recalling, heading back to the bottom side. This would be an unanswered gank if Wiggly pulls the trigger. There's a ward to be spotted right now. Licorice is backing up, and he knows he's on some vision.
Not going to be able to try to go for that. So now we will likely see him try to reset the wave up there, and it'll be interesting to see how this matchup really does go, because Licorice certainly has been getting so much praise from the entire community, from the other top laners in the league, and from the broadcast as well. Most people pegging him as the #1 top laner. He himself coming out and saying he thinks he's the best top laner in the league right now. And you're putting Darshan in this position where he really needs to have a good game and needs to be doing well on this Yorick against this #1 player for CLG to likely win.
All right, well, Darshan gets the wave pushed in without getting ganked. That's always a tricky one when you're like, okay, I have to walk past the river. Let's make sure I can survive it. He's able to, it's fine. We can see how much Licorice picks up with the CS, and looks like he'll just remain about +7 as the wave resets one more time. Svenskeren, but not spending time up there, gets to go for this Drake, and wow, 5-minute spawn Ocean Drake is going to feel pretty solid. However, you got the chance of pressure. You can see Orianna and Jarvan waiting in the wings and saying, you can't take this just yet.
Yeah, and I think it's an important contest, right? This is something that you really can't afford to give over that early. Ocean Dragon at 530, I think, is far and away better than any other dragon in the game. It has such a huge impact on the remainder of the lane phase.
Oh, good spell. Shield taunt's only going to land on the tank, and it doesn't matter. How about Pulverize Aftershock times out, and it's pretty good damage. Now half HP on both those bot laners. Nice attempt by the CLG support. Let C9 get the better of it. Both halves the Q as well, delivering pieces straight to your door.
I can only think about Sneaky's cosplay whenever he's wearing this skin. It's just the Sneaky cosplay skin.
Yeah.
He made this skin his own.
Yeah.
Anytime I'm even playing this skin on live, people are like, oh, it's Sneaky.
Yeah. Anytime people play against me in lane, they're like, oh, it's Sneaky. Because I can't lane well.
No.
Sneaky. Okay.
No.
Nope. We're moving
Anytime
on.
you're playing against you in lane, they're talking about your mana freak.
Yeah, and that's why I play Sivir.
I appreciate the crowd booing you. That was my internal monologue. That was just... That's good. I like this crowd.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right.
If it wants to replace Azael, we're taking implications. Anyway, Yorick ult comes in, and he's got his army now. He's going to be able to use this to push down, and now we get to test round 2 of Darshan mechanics. Can he keep the Maiden alive while pushing turrets?
Yeah, and a lot of it really is about keeping that Maiden alive. It actually does base with you. If it's getting poked, it can actually heal back up in the well also. So certainly you need to look to try to keep that out. If you do not have the Maiden, Licorice with the Ignite and his level 6 ultimate certainly could look to 1v1 you. And it is still scary even if you do have it out, if Svenskeren does come up there, because I always feel like Urgot plus any early powerful ganking jungler can be very, very frightening. It's so easy to burst you down to that execute range where Urgot can pull you back in.
Things to watch out for, but TP is used as Darshan comes back in. He simply got that Maiden hanging out now. And recall basically for Ninja Tabby and a bit of mana, and Maiden's outside of the turret range. This is just fine, summoning new ghouls as the corpses come up, and got that pressure. Now it's going to be interesting as we wait for what the junglers want to do. You have Wiggly in this top side of the river. He's taking Scuttle. There's a ward down who's pretty safe from most Sejuani ganks. But now Wiggly's spotted going towards Raptors, which means maybe there is an opportunity to try to just push in there and make it happen really fast.
Yeah, we'll see what Svenskeren wants to do with his level 6 ultimate now that he has that out. Certainly has a lot of options. I do think that attacking top lane probably would be his best bet, though, here. Pairing up with Licorice when you look at mid lane, having that cleanse. But they're in on Biofrost on the bot side.
Big stun. Ignite is on his wall. Shock buys a bit of time. They will not go for round 2. There's no more CC left. Oh, the Q! It's going to hit! Oh. Good flash just at the right time. And it's going to be Biofrost barely living. And now Wiggly could come around. Keep in mind, there is no Ignite now, or Aftershock on Zazel. His ways out are not easy, and the chain forward comes in. Now Sneaky has to respect the red buff. He might take one more auto, but he's going to get away. Nice kill, first blood to CLG.
Great gank there from Wiggly, and the fact that Stixxay is the one to grab first blood is so big for them as they were losing that 2v2. Getting pressured very heavily here by Sneaky and Zazel, but Wiggly walks it in, and Zazel hot checking without his ultimate up. Yeah. Means they should even get a play here too. So Stixxay is going to be very, very
TP,
rich.
Though. So he gets the 80 gold, shares it with Wiggly, but here comes Nisqy. He's going to find the dunk right away. Using the cage against him. He's definitely helping on this one. Finds the stun as well. And a double kill for the Cloud9 mid laner.
Fantastic stuff there from Nisqy. The TP flank grabs the J4 ultimate and picks up 2 quick kills there. A big punish, and now it's going to be Stixxay missing a lot of the minions here. And look at that pressure. When you have the Maiden hitting them and you do damage with your own champion, that is triggering the percentage HP damage, which is so powerful against Urgot, who wants to build lots of HP, who is reliant on that for his tankiness. And here we have this one more time. The initial play, great from Zazel, headbutts him into the wall, knocks him up there, and then they're able to chase down, and Sneaky almost gets him with both sides of the boomerang, flashing over that pizza.
Yep.
Just barely able to survive, and then Wiggly coming in. Zazel with the anti-timing here, going over toward River right as Jarvan walks into the brush, and then it's a flash ultimate follow. No way out for him. But as they stay around to try to go for the plates, Nisqy is able to punish that greed coming in and getting 2 easy kills, as there was no ultimate on Stixxay, no flash or ultimate on Wiggly, and I think that Stixxay was right to just save on that flash there, as Svenskeren was above him in the river as well.
Oh, nice. Ult, stealing the ult for that one. That was pretty beautiful. And, well, Wiggly gets to take a Scuttle Crab here as Biofrost does a bit of damage. There was a lot going nicely there. Interesting to note, Sneaky's actually going for the Essence Reaver early on Sivir, and I've talked to a few people about Essence Reaver as an item. And I've actually heard from some like LCS coaches that they really don't like Essence Reaver early. The attack damage is so low, you actually lose lane pressure against any other first item buy. Sneaky, of course, has his own take that either he's willing to take that deficit or it's worth it anyway.
And I will give it as a counterpoint. I mean, the one thing is you keep so much mana that, yes, you are doing less damage per attack, but you're able to constantly spam out your spells, and having the additional CDR, when you have this much of kind of a bruisey team that wants to run in and get on top of your opponents, having the CDR, having your ultimate up more frequently, I think is a really good trade-off. Because Urgot, you have Nisqy playing the Sylas, and you have Svenskeren on the Sejuani. All these guys want to charge in and be on top of your opponent, so I think that is very valuable. And it also allows you to have this one point on the map where it's essentially infinite wave clear, because you will never run out of mana for those spells.
Of course, the Ocean Drake helps that as well, so it really is going to be truly infinite. Should be impossible. for him to in any reasonable state in this game as long as he's allowed to auto-attack. The mana restore, of course, is conditioned on landing basic attacks, but again, should be fine. Wave clearing back and forth still in the mid side, and this game is still pretty close. C9 are up in kills, they're up that Drake, and they're up 700 gold. This feels pretty solid. Going back for round 2 on the Ocean Drake soon after it respawns. Niski has a shockwave, but Sombrero's ready to go. Biofresh finds Sven, who does have to queue over the wall. Now, can he make this happen, though, as Zazel coming around, and the mid lane could come as well. Niski is around, the whole team is revealed. This could be zoned out by the Orianna ball, though.
Yeah, they do allow it to reset. Sven is very low, and in he goes.
Zazel is flashless. Here comes Galio on top. A big set of damage. Sneaky picks off Wiggly, and suddenly it could be bad news for Biofresh. Shockwave hits nothing. Niski wants to go in for his own. Flashes to follow it in with himself, and they will knock down PoE. A double kill this time for Sneaky.
Really well played in that team fight. Wiggly went in, but he had no mana to follow up after the ultimate, and Sneaky hits an easy spell shield on the Galio ult to follow it up, and they're just able to straight around turn this fight and take him down. Niski has been so good on the Sylas.
Yeah.
Very early on in the game, he's already had a couple really effective ult steals and been able to make great use of them.
And meanwhile, the engage onto Zazel was just not so good. Was able to just pop the ultimate, withstand all the damage, and the counter engage was solid. So good pickups here, and C9 looking very good now in the mid game.
Yes, here this is one more time. Wiggly goes in, throws down the ult, but that's the last of his mana. And you're ulting now onto an ulted Alistar, spell shield for the Sivir. So not really a lot to actually get done there. There was not an easy target that they were jumping onto, right? You're committing your full combo onto the support, who has massive damage reduction from that ultimate. And once those abilities are gone, CLG just didn't have enough left to actually threaten the carries.
That was solid. So this is now a larger and larger lead. Double Ocean has now been completed here. They have really insane sustain, and C9 can kind of stay on the map forever. Any team fight, they're back to half HP almost instantly, and they can take any objective afterwards if they want it. The gold, of course, solid as well, 1,500. And they're looking poised to get revenge from the early season loss to Counter Logic Gaming.
Yeah, CLG is going to be starting up this Rift Herald, remember. First turret certainly still has not been taken, but Sneaky is working away on that bot lane one, so he is not going to be there. And it's going to be a 5v4 for CLG around the pit, but that means Sneaky can just keep pushing.
Niski's hit to steal an ultimate, but Liquid's going to push the team out, and now it's Zazel stuck inside the pit. He's going to be taking a little bit of damage towards Wiggly. Shotgun gets a couple. That could be nice. Zazel almost down. One more shot could kill him, but it's not the Herald to put in the work. So picked up without issue is C9 with the Herald.
I mean, C9 steal that away. That was a 4v5. CLG TP'd Darshan in. Sneaky wasn't even there. They lose the fight and the Herald, which means now they're going to lose 2 turrets. As in the meantime, Sneaky got first turret on bot side. Now they steal the Rift Herald. They get their second turret mid lane. And C9 are out to a very big lead off of that. They're even going to walk it in for another charge. Maybe even just take the turret straight up.
They've got Demolish still available, so
yeah,
big damage coming down. This will be 2 quick turrets picked up. As, yeah, a few plays were taken earlier on, but 15 minutes in, mid lane is completely cracked open.
Yeah, that is a very big swing for C9 as they get 3 unanswered turrets. CLG's Rift Herald attempt goes awry.
Only a slow, but they could still have enough damage. Wiggly, nice knock up on a 3, trying to run for dear life, but have a pulverized lands. That kill's picked up. They found more towards Stixay. They might have the damage. One more auto. He's burning. They're trying to get him. They can't just yet. Oh! The pizza delivered again. That's going to be some value, 2 for the price of 1. Sneaky feels great now.
Sneaky taking down another kill. Off to such a good start here. 4-0-2 on the Sivir. Sneaky is going to be finishing his second item very soon here. There's so much gold in the pockets of C9 to spend. I mean, Sneaky's sitting on almost 2,400 gold. These guys are rich, and they're going to knock down yet another turret. Feels like CLG has just given up way too much in these early stages, and I think it's going to be very difficult for Darshan to actually have enough freedom on the map to be able to get things done.
But CLG have to find some way in. Unfortunately, they're losing kind of everywhere now as Wiggly, despite a good play for the knockups, just can't get away.
Yeah, he is able to knock up 2. Sneaky, good spell shield on that, though, to absorb it. And Stixay does get chased down. Looks like he maybe was going to get out, but Sneaky dropping the heal. Pizza over the wall, knocks him down. Stixay getting taken out here again. And with Darshan down, quite a bit of CS, he is not really at a point where he is going to be able to kind of dominate in this side lane. C9 has been able to get a lot more global gold over onto Licorice because of the additional turrets, and he has the CS advantage. So Licorice, all he has to do is really stall the Yorick. It's not really up to him to try to dominate that lane.
Yep.
And CLG hasn't spent any time trying to attack Licorice and get Darshan ahead either, so they're now kind of stuck in this position where you gotta try to slow this snowball that is starting from C9 because they are pushing very quickly across the map. They're shoving in waves. Sneaky's on 2 items, and we don't even have the first completed for Stixxay.
It's a long road ahead. It's gonna need a lot more here. Doesn't even quite even have the Q evolve, so certainly a ways to go. But this turret's taking damage. Sneaky's feeling pretty good. He's got like 2,500 gold over his opponent. That's just absurdly far ahead. It was about 700 in the top lane, still is. But the minions just disappear under all that damage output.
2 very different circumstances, but 2 days in a row now where Stixxay has been monumentally behind the opposing AD carry. Yesterday was certainly more something that you could credit to Smoothie or blame Stixxay on, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But this one is more about Sneaky being successful in team fights and being the recipient of a lot of those turret kills. But certainly, either way, Stixxay massively behind again.
A lot of time to catch up. May never will do so against the Sivir. Another knockup comes in. They're going for the fight right now. Zinski dives in towards the back line, finds a slow from his jungler on the bot side as Darshan. He's going to walk away as well. Biofrost certain to go down to Urgot, and there's Licorice picking up his first kill of the game. It's 7-1, and C9 showing no signs of slowing down. Wiggly just running away from Niski, who was on the chase in this Sylas.
Yeah, 7-1. The Infernal is up as well. They're going to push in topside. They are just attacking everywhere. This may just be another kill for Sneaky as Wiggly is trying to make the long run home, but I don't know that he's getting out of here with Zeyzal coming in.
Okay, jumps over. The flash for Sneaky really wants that gold. Will find it. An assist from the Alistair, thanks very much. More gold for the pizzas.
Yeah, was not expecting him to flash in there for the kill, but he gets it, and it will now be another dragon going their way. Full control for C9. For CLG, you have to look to some of these bounties and say, okay, well, if we could win a team fight, if we could shut down some of these members. 850 gold here on Sneaky, 450 on Niski, 500 on Licorice. But I want to see them playing more around Darshan, getting him going. This Yorick is not going to be effective in just a group 5v5, and they're not helping him to get that winning side lane. It just doesn't feel like the same recipe that we've seen them be successful with, which was teamfight tank, teamfight jungle, and group and fight, and this is not what they're really building towards.
It's rough. CLG just so far behind in the early game, and even last year when they were doing so poorly, they actually had monumentally good early games. They just couldn't convert, and it was just unlucky time after time. They couldn't quite turn it around. They could never quite get the mid-game calls. This time, it's a week of historically bad early games, actually record-breakingly bad early games, and they hope they can turn the mid-game around. Last time these teams fought, it was equal at 20 minutes, and CLG then pulled out the better macro. But we're at 20 minutes, and it's 6,000 gold. This is not the same game as before.
You do have to think it's got to be about one team by picking up a lot of these bounties. And if CLG, if their 4-man squad can hold on and you can get an advantage in a side lane, then Yorick can drag some of these games back because he really is so good at creating pressure and knocking down turrets. But he's not even been able to get one yet, and Licorice has been holding him at bay very, very well.
Niski can now pretend he's Galio if there's another side lane fight. I feel like he's got plenty of damage to contribute here. Building towards Lich Bane and already has the Rod of Ages. But waiting for an engage. It could be Svenskeren, could be Zeyzal. Both great at what they do for this one. Smites away the Krug, and more gold is taken out of CLG's pockets. Waiting to see when they go in for the big play. Licorice happy to trade farm with Darshan, has put little bits of damage onto the turret.
And this is one of the things that I think C9 is probably better than anyone else in the league at, and is controlling vision. Look at the vision that C9 has in this topside map. The Baron is up. What can CLG see? CLG can see almost nothing, right? They can't even see anything in their own jungle, and they're behind. So this is how they're so good at shutting out some of these games and playing some of the poke compositions that they do. You have your support and your jungler hanging around here, ready to engage on anyone that does poke up and ready to fight for that vision constantly. And this puts them in a position where CLG has to be worried about any potential Baron. They're bleeding out gold constantly because that is being farmed out of their jungle by C9. And it even is allowing them to threaten a potential dive. So Zeyzal just pokes his head forward. That means Sneaky gets the map. And this is just brilliant vision control from C9. So much credit to them for being able to play out this style.
Yeah, even Niski showing himself in mid, he's got a Galio ult, so he can actually show himself and show up in 2.5 seconds notice, and CLG feel a little bit checkmated. There was no good play. They got a ward over the wall. They can see some of those rotations. It managed to dodge the control ward vision, so that's a piece in the darkness that they can see. But guess what? When the team moves out of mid, now suddenly Darshan has to back up. He can't fight for the minions anymore. There's going to be another turret going down. Even Niski burns the ult just to make sure no one shows up, and that turret's going to fall again. So now it's all tier 2s are dropped off map. The gold lead is now 8,000, and C9 show no signs of slowing down.
And I think this is such a good game to illustrate some of the differences between how C9 is playing this out, and sometimes when you're watching other teams and it feels like, okay, they're ahead, but why is nothing else happening? Why is it kind of stalling out? And they're taking all these extra steps to control vision, to push up their advantages and constantly pressure their opponents, and it's really through the warding and through that control and through their coordination that they're able to extend these gold leads.
And even look at some of the subtle things, like the whole team resets, how many wards do they lose? Okay, well, the waves are already pushed. CLG can start to get back on the map, and they will rest part of this jungle back. They finally clear out these wards. Okay, well, that's payment for getting all 3 tier 2s a little bit ago.
And C9 has 9 pinks in their inventory. 8 now as one is just dropped down,
Sure.
but they are gonna immediately reclaim this. They have double Ocean, so you can continually start the Baron and threaten that, regen up any potential damage coming in, but this is just complete locking out of CLG. They can't even get into their jungle to potentially check if the Baron is being started.
Yep. So, safe wave clear. Sneaky can tell with pretty reliable certainty that no one's there to gank him. Shoves in the lane. They've got another wave to meet up at sort of the rubble of tier 2 in a little bit, but otherwise they can now take the red buff away. CLG will try to battle for vision, but now they're battling with an 8,000 gold deficit. They're going to find a bit of a knockup. Nice headbutt backwards. Looking for Wiggly flashes right back out of the pit, but look how tanky Zeyzal is, withstands all of it and burns a couple of flashes as Wiggly is now out of major cooldowns.
And now they're going to start the Baron, because Wiggly has no flash. He had to go back for base, and there's no way for him to actually get back to the Baron in time. CLG doesn't even know if it's starting. If you go over there, you can certainly still get hard engaged on again. So Niski and Zeyzal are zoning. 3-man squad starting up the Baron with that Ocean Dragon, and I think they can just commit to finishing it.
And they're going to stay so far. Wiggly is coming back around the map,
There's-
but he shouldn't be in range in time. There's the pair of Smite. Licorice helps out. Svenskeren grabs the last one, and now it's Baron buff on the map. For recompense, CLG finally gets their first turret of the game. This is a team that has killed 1 champion and 1 turret on their way to a very likely 0-2 week.
C9 are just showing us a masterclass on how to actually extend a lead, and they are looking to set a trap here, but this is a tanky Svenskeren. We'll see if they can knock him down.
They get very, very close, but Shockwave is never fired, and Svenskeren's able to walk away. Darshan doesn't get much done, despite walking in as well. It burned the flash and got nothing for it. A quick steal comes through. The poor Maiden's gonna drop, and
Yeah.
Niski has a new sombrero.
You can kind of feel the desperation now from CLG. Darshan going for the flash cage, trying to make something happen, but they know they're very far behind now, and it will be the second Infernal going C9's way. Feels like a near insurmountable lead when you're taking team compositions, gold leads, dragons into consideration.
It'll require a miracle. Counterlogic Gaming, back when they were very successful, they had comebacks like this back at MSI, and they peeled for Stixay, and it somehow worked in the end, but this does feel very different from those days back then, all those years ago. It's looking at 4 and 6, just on the edge of playoff positioning. They would be in it still, but more games to play as C9 continue to take their control of second place. They'll remain only a game behind Liquid.
I mean, they're not even trying to defend their inhibitor turrets, right? Both the inhibitor turrets go down without any sort of a challenge. This is looking like C9 could just close this one out.
The fastest game of the split just a little while ago, 24 minutes. They're at 25 and a half, and looking at very similar positioning here as they will reset one more time. Looks like Cloud9 are gonna play that slower game. Not looking for the records, just the winning record.
Yeah, I mean, they have a really strong scaling team fight composition. There's no need for them to risk anything. CLG wasn't in position, so you easily take down 2 inhibs. You still have 130 on your Baron buff, so they can reset, buy potions, spend all your gold, go 5 top, and still pressure that 3rd inhibitor.
And they will. Back in the map they go, up down the mid lane. Clearing away these few minions, giving some gold over to Zeyzal. And they're ready to go. They can choose top, and indeed Niski will do so, and they can also push down mid and knock down Nexus turrets. And that's where the rest of the team is going. Counterlogic Gaming has maybe a minute left to try to stage some massive comeback because you know these waves are going to crash in with the Baron buff, and C9 will go for the throat.
Yep, they have one chance, and it really has to be an incredible engage. You need to see Wiggly, Power of Evil, Biofrost getting a huge combo. I have to say, if Sneaky doesn't die instantly at the start of a fight, I just think it's unwinnable. And they're not even in position to challenge whatsoever. They're just walking straight up to the Nexus turret, bold as you like.
Looking for the play on towards Sneaky, good damage. Here comes Galio as well. He's gonna pop stopwatch to buy the seconds that he needs. Redemption gets him some more. Looking for the damage up into the back line, goes Stixay, and he can't quite find the target. It's not enough damage. He gets one, but Niski trades them all back. It's 3 for 1 and make it 4. This is gonna be Cloud9 winning it for sure. And despite the death of Sneaky, it's still a win. Get it in 30 minutes or it's free. And the only one free here is gonna be Counter Logic Gaming. Cloud9 12-2 will slaughter this game, take another 2-0 week, and they will take down the Nexus.
C9 absolutely obliterate CLG there. They looked like they were in a completely different league, winning across the map, complete domination, total vision control, stealing away the jungle, knocking down the towers, taking the Baron uncontested, taking the inhibitors uncontested. And C9 have got to be feeling so good about that. Well, their opponents are going to have to head home for what will likely be a rough week after 2 absolutely devastating losses.
Yeah.
They got blasted this weekend back-to-back by TSM and now here by C9.
I know, it is rough. I mean, these were 2 of the strongest wins. TSM in sort of similar fashion to C9's win here. Got to give them credit. Cloud9 still look like a top 2 team. There seems to be a giant disparity from what they and Liquid can do and what the rest of the league can do. They look heads and shoulders above, as you mentioned, like they're in a different league, and I agree. C9 are sharp. To give CLG some credit, this was kind of an expected loss. They were TSM skill on paper much higher, just some upset losses. C9, we know are an incredible team. No one should be shocked by a 0-2 week here. Maybe the method of 0-2 is surprising, but the easier part of the schedule should be ahead of CLG.
And that is very true, but it's the discussion that was had with 100 Thieves. It's not just that you lose to these strong teams, it's the way in which you lose. It's the fact that they did not look competitive in either of the games this weekend that is going to be concerning for them and their fans.
Well, they'll have to turn it around, but now to hear more about that dominant victory, let's send it down to Cloud9's mid laner.
Thanks, Freak. Niski, congratulations on the win. That was a disgusting game coming from you guys. You totally stomped CLG. So yesterday, both Reaper and I believe Zazel had said that CLG, or the loss against CLG earlier on in the split, was one of the only things that was keeping you from directly contesting with Team Liquid. So how much closer to the top do you feel with this win?
I mean, I think this win was really important for us because we want to be a top team, right? And we want to be better than TL as well. So we had to make sure that we won today, and yeah, we just made sure that we won, I guess.
And something that's been interesting is you coming into the team, and usually when we see new players come into a team, we see this sort of adjustment period where you get the communication right and build up the synergy. But when you came in, you just came in swinging, already taking wins and picking up kills. So what do you accredit how easily you joined the team to?
I mean, I think I just feel really comfortable with the team. Like, I have no thoughts, or like, they all trust me, basically, if I make any play. And I think that's really important for me, and they just give me the confidence as well. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just really comfy, I guess, with how I play the game, and that's it.
And before you go, who is the better Silas, you or Licorice?
Me, of course.
You, of course. Niski, there you go. Thank you, and again, congratulations. That's it from us here. Let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Niski versus Silas on Countdown. I want to make it happen.
There you go.
Niski versus Silas.
Cool down, yeah, somewhere.
It sounds so boring though. You get level
versus
6,
Silas
and you have no
himself.
ulti.
They each have 5 teammates that just hover around with their ultimates, and they get
So
to
that they
pick.
get to feel
level
it.
16, you
Yeah.
see who uses the teamfight ultimates better. Cloud9, crushing victory here over CLG, getting revenge for the first time around that these two teams met to make the head-to-head a 1-1. But this was absolute domination
Brutal.
out of Cloud9, and so the weekend doesn't get any easier for CLG in that sense. Taking a look at team compositions, we already mentioned we got that Silas yet again for Niski. Cloud9, the team that's played that champion more than any other team, and they've played it in 2 roles.
Right. I mean, their comp is a pretty good meatball run at them. Sivir comp, both Alistar, Urgot love getting sped up. Same with Sejuani, so they can really chase people down. And CLG look like they're going for a kind of 4-1 split push. They have a good team fighting core with a York that's hopefully splitting, and maybe a Galio can ult in. Like, I see what they're going for, but with how the early game went, it really was never going to get on the line.
I don't even dislike CLG's team.
Right.
I look at it and it seems pretty good. They have the Jarvan and Galio engaged, and they have relatively decent lanes. But when you watch this game and see how C9 played the lanes, there's just a large difference in what happened. And with the Silas pick here, he was huge coming off on this bot play.
Yeah, I mean, Sneaky and Zeyzal were kind of winning the lane 2v2 already. We asked Stixxay and Biofrost to step up after last game, and it wasn't really working out. Yes, they got ganked, but it's forcing Wiggly down here time and time again to salvage their bot lane. That happened numerous times. And then even at the end of that play, like Hai was saying, I mean, Niski shows up and just turns it back in C9's favor.
Yeah, we did have some questions around Galio support that were brought up yesterday. Like, when is the right time for this pick to come into the game? And you would think maybe Sivir Alistar's not the most oppressive lane, matchup in the world, so it could be a good time. But even still, I was left wanting more from this support Galio that we've seen make a couple appearances so far here in Week 5.
Right. Well, C9 played it the other day, and it went really well for them. Every time you saw Wild Turtle try to engage, it hard countered him. So it seems like Galio is a champion that's strong into melee bots, but you pick into Sivir Alistar, you can't really taunt Sivir, and you taunt Alistar, but he has ulti. Like, who do you really kill there?
Yeah, I mean, even to be fair, the last game, Zeyzal, or when C9 played it, they started 0-3 in lane or something like that. So I think a lot of people are struggling, and even not just when's the right time to pick it, but how exactly do you play it? There was a trade where we saw Biofrost go on Sneaky, and he just spell shielded the punch up, and then he kind of got traded back on by the Alistar. So I think a lot of people are still figuring this pick out.
All right, this is the second day in a row here where supports have popped off against CLG.
Oh, yeah.
We had the Thresh yesterday. Today it was Zeyzal who came up big in many ways for his squad on this Alistar.
Right. I want to make a call for Zeyzal to be possibly MVP as well. As we were talking about earlier, you look at him and see all the plays that he's doing. He jukes that Ori ulti with the W. He'll do crazy engages this game. And I know for a fact that he's one of the primary shot callers of his team. And you watch at the C9 macro game, and they're amazing at that. So not only is he really strong mechanically, his shot calling is something amazing as well. And they're really lucky to have him on the team.
I mean, this is an incredible 4v5. Punch the Galio out of the pick, gets a 2-man knockup, and then he's able to secure his team. The Rift Girl doesn't even die for it. Like, he had a monstrous game. Him as well as Niski were probably the two standouts on that.
And I believe his stats are something insane too, right? Like #1 in almost
You saw
every
Rift's
character.
segment, right?
Yeah.
#1 in everything.
The beard don't lie. He's #1 in the beard, #1 in the stats.
The problem is that segment was so troll. I don't know if people realize that those were real stats.
I don't believe Core JJ has a beard, right?
I mean, what are you talking about?
Okay, my bad.
That was completely legitimate, Mark. How dare you undercut the credibility
Wait,
of
so you agree with your beard being
segment.
second to last?
I'm above Freak.
That's all that counts?
And hey, that's better than nothing, I guess. I could maybe make a case for me jumping up a couple more spots on that ladder. I'll do some work over this year, I think. No, let's talk about why Cloud9 is so good alongside teams like Team Liquid. I think we're finally beginning to see some of that separation within the league of our top echelon, the middle pack, and the bottom clump, as we like to refer to them. And in this case, Cloud9 closed the game out in a way that I would like to see more teams with that kind of a lead close games out.
Yeah, I think there was that one clip where you heard Zale talking about it, how good the vision control up in the top side was by C9, and CLG had no way to walk in. They just kind of sat there and watched their turret drop because they didn't know how they were going to be able to get there safely. And I think that's what you really want to see out of top teams is clean vision control, and you see the bottom tier teams struggling with that. The 100 Thieves lost previously, the Optic not being able to close this out super clean. It's a completely different ball game come the mid-late game with the top tier versus lower tier teams.
Just some context on these numbers. That is the lowest in the league there for CLG in their overall vision score per minute. So very much struggling with the vision game on the side of CLG. For Cloud9, they purchased tons of control wards, seem to understand how and when to control the vision in order to abuse teams like CLG who just can't get it out there.
Right, with vision specifically, vision is power. It might not necessarily translate into power in a fight, but it gives you power setting up to that, and sometimes that's enough to win. So when you are ahead and getting vision where you need to be, that's how you really close out games. You'll see teams like Team Liquid, C9 be like, hey, we want to go for top tower. We're going to move all of our pinks up here, get the objective, and then they'll clear out the forest, whatever. Then they'll buy new pinks. I think they reset in base with 9 pinks or something like that. So you use them as a resource to get an objective and a lead. And you'll see teams consistently do that. And if they can do that well, that'll set them apart from other ones.
It's a good feeling to place a pink ward on the map and then let it sit there for 15 minutes untouched, but it's not always the optimal play. Sometimes you should buy another one and replace it.
Sometimes. And for people like me, you're like, I don't even care I did that. Give me more kills. The pink ward lived for 15 minutes.
And it increases your vision score
No
too,
one
right?
notices.
Longer it's there.
Your team, no teammates in solo queue look at your vision score like, wow, way to go, dude. They just want to see your kills.
Yeah, well, maybe they should, Mark.
Maybe they should.
You know, maybe we should be pushing more positive messages like that. That does it for Game 3. When we return, we have a battle for third place between TSM and FlyQuest. You won't want to miss it.